Welcome to the I in Team podcast with Brian Smith and Mary Smith. You are more important to your team than you might believe. Everybody has something to contribute, and most importantly, that's influence. Learn more on today's program. Now, here is Brian Smith and Mary Smith.
Hi team, welcome back to the I in Team podcast. I'm your host, Mary Smith. As you can see, my dad, Brian Smith, is not here. Usually he co-hosts with me. Right now, he's actually on a little road trip with my brother, taking him back to college. So he couldn't be here for the filming. So it's just going to be me this week. And I'd really love to talk to you guys about something that I've really been working on for the past couple years, and I think that most people should be working on, and that's personal growth. I've been actually gearing up to record this podcast for you for a couple weeks now and just kind of gathering some thoughts that I have and piecing them together based off of just my own thinking and my own everyday life. I think that thinking throughout the day when you have time to think about other things is really important because it allows you an opportunity to explore things that you may not already know. And I think it's important for personal growth to think about things that you don't already know. So for example, if you're under the impression of one thing, say you have an opinion for something and someone else has a differing opinion to what you have, I think that a lot of society today, generally, we alienate those that don't have the same opinions as us, and I think that that really inhibits our personal growth opportunity. I think that when we are faced with someone who challenges our opinion or who challenges our worldview, it's really important to take that opportunity because it's going to give you an opportunity to grow. Even if in the end you still don't agree with them, that's still okay. You can still hold your ground and hold your opinion and still listen to what other people have to say. And that's really going to expand your mind because it's important to think about why other people have different perspectives from the one that you have. And you don't have to have the same perspective or opinion that they do, but it's just nice to think about. Like, if you are always eating vanilla ice cream, always eating vanilla, love it, and then someone comes over and is like, oh, I love chocolate ice cream, that's what I'm eating, and you're just kind of like, ew, no, I would never have chocolate ice cream, you're not allowing yourself the opportunity to even know what that chocolate ice cream is. And maybe if you wanted to have like a little bit of personal growth and a little bit of expanding, you could say, well, why do you like chocolate ice cream? Or can I try your chocolate ice cream? Or what made you decide to have chocolate ice cream? And it's questions like that, communication, when someone has a different opinion than you have, that's going to lead you to grow your mind. And by growing your mind, you really just give yourself an opportunity to have more knowledge. You give yourself an opportunity to have personal education. And those are really important things, and to me, that's really what life is all about. It's all about personal growth. It's all about our personal influence, and I think that part of that means educating ourselves, always growing, and sometimes that means talking to people who don't have the same opinions that we have, and that's okay. And I think one of the huge things that goes along with being able to talk to people who have different opinions than we have is having compassion and empathy for those people. I think I see a lot of people getting angry nowadays when other people don't have the same opinion they do. And I understand why people feel angry because sometimes it is really hard to understand where people are coming from when you do not have that same perspective. But I think that that's where communication and empathy come in. Sometimes it can be really hard to put yourself in someone else's shoes and to really try to understand where they're coming from. But it's important for personal growth to be able to try or to be able to do that. So I think if you can try to have compassion and empathy for people in general, for people that have the same opinions as you and for people that don't have the same opinions as you, that's really going to help you with your personal growth because you're going to have an easier time communicating with those people rather than letting anger shut down your mind. Usually anger or feelings of anxiety or negative feelings like that, they have a tendency to incapacitate your ability to speak clearly and to think clearly. So when we are angry or when we are anxious, sometimes those emotions override our minds and we aren't able to think about what we're saying or what we're doing, and we just kind of sometimes become irrational. And there are always exceptions to what we talk about on this podcast. I really don't want to get into the exceptions because there are so many, but I think for the most part, like if you feel angry or if you feel upset or anxious that someone doesn't have the same opinion as you, I think it's smart to try to train yourself so that you can learn from those people. Because personal growth is, like I said, in my opinion, what we're here for. We are experiencing our own lives in a very different way from everyone next to us, and that's really special. I think that the uniqueness of each of our experiences is it's unbelievably beautiful that we each get to have a different experience from everyone else. And that doesn't always mean that some people are going to have great experiences and some people aren't, but that does mean that we get to learn from each other and we get to understand other people's lives through their eyes, if we can. And then another thing that I think is really important when it comes to personal growth is being able to teach yourself at home. So if you're not in college, or if you're not taking classes, or if you're not in any kind of like educational environment, one of the best ways to continue to grow personally is to educate yourself at home. Whether that be you read books, whether nonfiction or fiction, you can read stuff online, you can read blogs, you can listen to podcasts. There's just so many ways to continue to grow and to continue to learn, and you should want to do that. Everyone should at least have one thing where they want to continue to learn about it, or it's like you gotta like study something. Like personal growth, like when you want to be better, when you want to better your influence, when you want to influence those around you more positively, you have to continue to work on yourself. And I think that from my young age, I think that that's easy for me to say because I love to continue to grow. I wish my dad was here. I'd love to hear what he has to say, but I've seen my dad grow a lot over the last couple years, and that's partially because I have also grown, but that's partially because he's done a lot of personal growth. But I've seen nearly everyone around me succeed in personal growth. And I'm only 25, so when I was in college, I was having a really rough time. There was just a lot of things happening in my life that I didn't understand, and it was also at a time when I'm still maturing. So I was 18 to 22, so I was still like growing in the maturity department, as well as facing challenges in life that I didn't think that I deserved. But now that I'm here where I am, I can look back and be so grateful for those times, because without going through hardships in life, we don't have opportunities to grow. It's hard and dark times in our life that push us forward and that force us to be better because we've seen what it's like to be in the dark. So when we go through dark periods in our life, they are opportunities for us to grow, because without pushing our boundaries and without facing challenges and without experiencing new events in life, there's no way for us to grow. There's ways for us to learn through reading and like other people, but without having to face our own internal hardships, how else would we grow? It's like yin and yang. Like we have to have good and we have to have bad, and we have to have light and we have to have dark. We have to have a balance in our lives, and sometimes that balance is going to sway one way, and whichever way it goes, that's going to be a learning experience for you. And I think that if you embrace each day as a new opportunity, then you are going to have an easier time with your personal growth. There's this saying from Buddha, and he says, each morning we are born again. So each morning we are born to have new opportunities. We get a new chance to grow. We get a new chance to reinvent ourselves. And your personal growth is really important at work. Who you are as an individual influences those around you, and it's really rare that some of us get to work alone, like completely alone without clients or anything. That's pretty rare. And even if you are in a case like that, I still encourage you to continue to grow, because what else would you do? But when you continue to grow yourself, you continue to bring out your best qualities, and you nurture them and you mature them, and then you can work on your next best quality, and then you continue to do that. So from a team perspective, when you are your best self, when you work on yourself, when you understand who you are, what your flaws are, and you try to grow the good parts of yourself, and you try to make good habits, and you try to diminish bad habits, you make yourself better for your teams because you make yourself more positively available. And when you make yourself more positively available to your teams, they feel like they have a secure spot with you in the team environment, and then they can also grow. When you have a lot of insecurity on a team, it doesn't take long for the team to crumble. So when you work on yourself, you are helping others as well. When you are your best self, you can put your best foot forward with everyone you meet and do your best to do that, instead of remaining stagnant in a position that you either are not happy being in or are not aware that you are in. I think what really sprung this topic for me is I was just thinking about how lucky we are to be on this earth together, and learning from one another. It's hard for me to learn from those who do have differing opinions from me, and I don't want to sit here and act like it's really easy, but it is something that I work on every day, and I think that most people should work on it. I think that that's one of the most beautiful parts of life, is that we get to learn from each other. And I hope that I can help other people, and I think that one of the best ways I can help other people is to make people more tolerable of each other. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today, is just growing yourselves as an individual and being tolerant and accepting of others. Yeah, I know this podcast is short, guys, but I'm all alone. So I don't know what we're going to be covering next week. Dad's going to be traveling basically until mid-September, and it's like not mid-August yet. It's almost mid-August. So I'm really excited to see what we bring you guys next week. I actually have a little list going of topic ideas. And if you guys have any ideas, please reach out to us. I would love to hear from you on our Twitter page at IN Team Series, on our Facebook page, the IN Team Series. And you can find us too at IA Business Advisors on both of those accounts. You can find us on Instagram and Google, LinkedIn. and our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we are putting all of these videos out on our YouTube. I don't know if you guys are watching, but if you're just listening, you're awesome. If you're watching, you're awesome too. And I look forward to talking to you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the I in Team podcast. We hope we've positively influenced you and you've picked something up from the show that you can use in building and influencing other individuals or your team. Please join us soon for another program on the Voice America Business Channel.